Hey everyone, it's Melissa again. I'm back to crocheting. I have been just kind of crocheting as I can here and there over the past couple of years. I have had a few business changes and haven't always had the time for it. So I recently have made a 12-point star blanket, which I showed you a picture in the beginning, and I'll show you a picture again at the end. This blanket is the 12-point star by the loopholefox.com. That's the pattern that I used. I've used several different patterns from different bloggers, and I usually find them on Pinterest. I'll go to Pinterest and just Google, and then I will find the written pattern. I'm one who can read a pattern and get the blanket, the gist of the blanket down better than watching just the video. If you're a video learner, I hope that this helps you. But if you need the pattern and the video, which is sometimes how I learn best, is you can get the pattern from the loopholefox.com. Or like I said, you can go to Pinterest and Google it. Anyhow, I think she has it listed as the Rising Star blanket or the Heirloom baby blanket. This is a 12-point star. I did put a 2-row single crochet border on the edge. I made this blanket for a sweet little girl named Brinley, who is 3, and she is 3 foot tall. So I made this blanket 47 inches tall. So I'm hoping that it's a good snuggle blanket for her. I had just enough yarn left over that I think I can make her baby doll a matching blanket, and that's my plan. That's why I did not use the 2 full skeins that I had, which I happened to buy this through Hobby Yarn. It's called We Love Yarn, and it's the Mega Ball. It's number 4 worsted weight 4. I believe the pattern called for like a 4.5 or 4.4 hook and worsted 3 yarn. But again, I had this yarn available and I had 2 skeins of it, and I love this hook. This is my favorite hook ever. It's one of the hooks that light up. So I don't use it to light up very often unless I'm crocheting at night, or if I am using it for black. It's a lifesaver, but it's a K hook and it's 5.5 or 6.5. This is my favorite size hook. This is my favorite size yarn, and this is one of my favorite blankets to make. It goes really fast. So I work a full-time job. We have 2 businesses that we run, and so with that being said, I also have a 15-year-old son. So I would work on it like in parent pickup line, and then at night I might get a little time to work on it before I have to go to bed or start dinner or whatever the case may be. Anyhow, it took me a little less than 2 weeks to make the full blanket, and I wanted to do a video for y'all. So this blanket starts, it's a circle pattern, so it starts with a magic circle, and I do have a tutorial on my page for that, and I can put a link down below. I'll put a link for the yarn down below, and I'll also put a link for these hooks down below. I bought a whole set of these through Amazon, and I don't regret it. Like I said, I have my favorite hooks, my 5.5, 6.5, those are my favorite sizes. If I'm not using this hook, then this is my other favorite hook, which is a clover, and these to me are the best out there. I have this one here that I sometimes use, but these really are just about spending money, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people love them, but these hooks are affordable and they are still very good hooks. Now, if we're going to do a magic hook, the way that I do my magic hooks, you can look at the tutorial, or you can try and watch this video and see if it helps. So here's the end of my string here, and I'm going to wrap it around my 3 fingers into an X, and then I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to go under here, right? I'm trying to watch it and do it at the same time. Let me do it like this, and so we go under here and hook it. Let me try it one more time where it's a little easier for the camera to see. So over the 3 fingers that way, and then I'm going to take my hook, I'm going to grab that, I'm going to pull it like this. You can see it kind of twist that yarn. And so let's go ahead and pull it tight to here, and we're going to do a single slip stitch like that, and this is what we've got. So this yarn's a little twisted, don't even pay attention to that. The way our pattern reads is we're going to do 2 double crochet, and then we're going to do 11, we're going to do 2 chains, and then we're going to do 11 crochet, double crochet. So we're going to go 1 and 2, and it's okay to leave these loose because they're going to act like your first double crochet. So you've got 2 chain, and then we're going to do 11 double crochet. And I apologize, I get my words mixed up, especially with all the different stitches there are. That one caught just 1 loop. You don't want it to do that. So I've got 1, and then we're going to do 2. Make sure you catch both of those strings in each one of your double crochets. If you feel like it's hard to control, you can always tighten this circle up a bit by pulling it. And then you put your fingers in there, and that gives you control of holding it. This is actually my favorite way to start any kind of pattern. So we should have 2 chain and then 11 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not quite there. This would be 9, 10, 11. Now, we're going to take this string and we're going to pull it tight. So, if we count this as a double crochet, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we've got 12 what we're calling double crochet. We're going to slip stitch to the 2 chains. So 1, 2, we're going to go ahead and slide our hook into that first side of that double, that chain there, that second chain, and then into the other side. We're going to pull our string through, and then we're going to pull it through there, and that's our slip stitch into our second chain. So that gives us 12 double crochet. Now, this right here is, you can pull it tighter and it closes that circle, and we'll worry more about that when we actually weave that in so that it goes away. So this is our first row. Now for our second row, we're going to do 2 chains, which is going to count as a double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet into that same little stitch. Wiggle that hook in there and get it going. So you got 2 there, and then we're going to do 2 in each double crochet so that we end up with 24. So let's do that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, Okay, so lay it flat. We've got our 2 chain, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So we have 23 double crochets in the chain 2, which is going to be like the 24th double crochet. So we're going to add it here. We're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 2 space. Like that. There we go. So we got 24 all together. Now here's where we're going to start making our V's so that we can start the point of the star. And so we're going to, of course, chain 2, and then we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. That gives us a V. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch, 1 double crochet, and we're going to go into the next one and do the same thing. We're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in the same stitch. And then we're going to skip 1 and go right into that next one, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, same stitch. We're going to skip 1, go to the next, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1 stitch into the next, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip a stitch, go into the next one. We got a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. All right, now skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, then double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now we're going to skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Now in this little spot, it's going to be our tricky spot. So we're going to skip this crochet. Sorry if I get off camera a bit. We're going to skip this crochet here, and where we started with our chain 2, we're going to go right on into that tight little spot and double crochet right in there. And it's going to be a tight spot because it was a chain stitch, not the actual double crochet. And so we're going to chain 1 more, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 2. So what we end up having, we should have, I think it's 24 V's. Let's check. 12 V's, 24 V's. We have 12 V's and 24 double crochets. So if we're gonna start here, we got 1 V, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this makes 12 V's. So we have 24 stitches, and we have 12 chain spaces, and we have 12 V's. And this is how we're going to start our star. So from here, we're actually going to slip stitch into this space, and then we're going to slip stitch into our whole V. Slip stitch into the V, and we're going to chain 2. Sorry, we're going to chain 2. So that gives us our chain 2, which would be a double crochet, and then we're going to double crochet again. And this time we're going to chain 2, double crochet twice. So this is what we call a large shell moving forward. So this is our large shell moving forward, 2 double crochet and 2 chain. So now what we're going to do is we're going to skip these 2 double crochets. See, there's 2 double crochets. We're going to skip them. We're going to go right into this V space, and we're going to 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, we're going to skip these 2 double crochets, and we're going to keep doing this all the way around. So we got 2 double crochets, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, skip to the next one, 2 double crochet. Oop, did you see me mess up? 2 double crochet, so 1 more, chain 2, 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet, there we go, there's 2, and then skip those 2 and into the next chain space. Here we go, 1, 2, Okay, now that we're back around, we're going to do our last double crochet there, and then we're going to connect it to the chain 2 space. But remember, you got 1, 2 chains, and then you got the top of that double crochet. So make sure you go into the top of your double chain, your second chain. And I always do it where it's into this side. See, that's not the right way. So go into this side. See that? And then you got to go into the other side. It's good to make those second chains loose so you don't have to fight them. So see, you got the double crochet there, and then you got that second chain space. And we're going to pull it through, slip stitch it through, and that completes that row. So what we've got here is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All together we got 12 points. 12 points all together. And we're connecting in between the points. So now we're going to start our next row. And so on our next row, we're going to slip stitch to the next. So this is where we joined at. This is the next double crochet. We're going to go ahead and slip over into it, and we're going to chain 2. Remember, be easy on that second chain 2 because we got to get into it to close that row. And then we're going to do another large shell. So 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, and that completes the first large shell of that row. But if you look, it looks like we have 3 because this, remember, the chain 2 always acts as a double crochet. So we're going to double crochet into this next double crochet here. So that gives us our 3rd one. Now, all the way through this pattern, you're going to skip the 2 that connect right here. So skip this one and this one, and we're going to double crochet into the next one. And then we're going to do a large shell in that space. 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet. And then we're going to crochet into the next double crochet. Sometimes you can make this one disappear and get off because it'll get too tight over there. So always make sure you're going into that next double crochet when you come out of that large shell. So that gives us 3. So we got 3, 3, 3, and 3. Now we're going to skip 2. So here's 1 and 2. Those are those 2 that join right there into the V, the bottom point of the star. And then we're going to go ahead and put a double crochet into the next. So you're skipping 2 and putting a double crochet into the 3rd one. And then we're going to do a large shell. So 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet. Now, if you look, it would be easy to skip this double crochet because you can't really see the space. But if you just tug that over a little bit, you'll see that space and you go into that double crochet. So that gives you your 3 and your 3, and then you skip 2 and you've got that next double crochet. And then 2 into the chain space. We're going to do a large shell into the chain, the point of this one. So 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet. And then remember to leave that space open and into that next one. So you got 3 again. And then we're going to skip 2, so skip 1 and 2, and we're going to put a double crochet into this one. And then 2 double crochet into this space with 2 chain and 2 more double crochet, making our large shell. And then we're going to double crochet into the next double crochet. We're going to skip 2 double crochet and then a double crochet into the next. And then we're going to do a large shell. So 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet. A double crochet into the next stitch, skip 2 stitches, another double crochet, and then a large shell into your chain space. We're just going to keep doing this around until we get to that chain 2 where we have to connect again. Okay, I did my large cell. Now I'm doing my next double crochet, skip 2, double crochet, 2 more, double crochet, 2 chain, 2 more double crochet to complete the large shell, and then another double crochet in the next stitch, skip 2 stitches, double crochet into that one, another large shell, so 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, and then double crochet into the next stitch. I'm out of yarn. Let me get some more yarn going. These mega balls are not center pulls as far as I can tell. Okay, so we've got 3 and then 3, and then we're going to skip 2, double crochet into the next one, 2 double crochet, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, making our large shell again, double crochet into the next stitch, skip 2, double crochet, do a shell in the chain space, alright, then we're going to go ahead and put our single crochet into, or a double crochet into our one there, skip 2, double crochet here, another shell in the chain space, and I think this is our last one. Okay, so now we have our 2. We got to go ahead and add our 3rd into that first stitch there. So we got 2 stitches because we chain stitched over. So we got this one and this one open. And so we're going to attach to that second chain stitch. So just like that. All right, so don't look like it lays flat, but it does, I promise. All right, so you've got 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. You got your 3 all the way around. All right, and you can see your points there. All right, so let's do the next one. So the next one, each row starts off with us skipping over by slip stitching. So we slip stitch over, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to add a double crochet to that stitch. Okay, so we slip stitched over to this one, we chained 2, we did a double crochet there, and now we're going to do a large chain again. Wait, are we going to? We did a large, now we're just going to do 1. So we're going to do a small shell, because we did 2 large shells here, we did in here. So we did a large shell, now we're going to do a small shell. So we're going to go 1 stitch, 1 double stitch, 2 chains, 1 double crochet, and then we're going to go and do 2 stitches with double crochets. So we're going to double crochet here, and we're going to double crochet here, and then we're going to skip 2, and we're going to double crochet 1, and then we're going to double crochet 2, and then we're going to do a small stitch. So, a small shell. 1, 2, double crochet. So what we have, let's go back and look at it. We've got 1, 2, 3, space, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, space, and then we're going to end up with our 1, 2, 3. So I did a small shell, and now we're going to do 2 stitches, 2 double crochets in these 2 stitches, and we're going to skip 2. Well, we skip the 2 that connect, and then go into that next one, and we're going to double crochet, and then double crochet, and then we're going to do a small shell. So 1 crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 chains, 1 more double crochet. Let me pull my yarn. If you get too much yarn unwound, you end up with a tangle like I did earlier. Okay, so that gives us our small shell, and then we do 2 stitches and 2, there's 2, and then we're going to skip 2 and double crochet into the next 2. Then we're going to do a small shell where we do 1 double crochet, 2 chain, 1 double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 stitches here, 2 double crochet, 1, 2, and then we're going to skip 2, and now we're going to do the next 2 stitches with double crochet. And then we're going to do a small shell in that space again. Now remember, we always skip the 2 that are connecting the shells. So 1, 2, and then we're going to go double crochet here, double crochet here, and then a small shell in the chain space. We're going to do 1 double crochet, 2 chains, 1 double crochet. Then we're going to do the next 2 stitches with double crochets. And then we're going to skip the 2 conjoining, and we're going to go into that next one with the double crochet. Again, another double crochet. And then we're going to do a small stitch again. A small shell again. I apologize for mixing my words so often. So we're going to do a small shell, 2 chains, a small shell, or a small double crochet. There we go. Now 2 double crochet again. Skip the 2 joining ones, and then do a double crochet in the next 2. A small shell. Oh, did you see me do it wrong? Okay, so we got 2. We're doing a small shell, so 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet down these 2 stitches. Skip the 2 joining, and then do the next 2. And then do a small shell in this space. So 1 double crochet, 2 chain, 1 double crochet. And then we're going to do the next 2 stitches with double crochets. Skip the 2 stitches that join, and then we do 2 more. And then we're going to do a double crochet, 2 chain, and a double crochet for our small shell. Now we're going to do the next 2 stitches as double crochet. We're going to skip the 2 joining double crochets and do 2 more double crochets. There we go. And then next we're going to do a small shell in this space. So if you remember, I told you that this blanket does lay flat because we do 2 large shells in a row, and then we do a small shell. And so this one is going to help even out those last 2 rows, and then we'll go back to doing the double crochet again. The larger one again, and that will help it grow. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, we're going to skip 1, 2 there, and then we're going to do 2 here, 1 there, 1 in the next stitch, and 2 here. Nope, 1. See, I got to catch myself there. So we got 1, 2, and then we're going to do the small shell, and then a double crochet that completes the small shell, and then now we're going to do 2, the next 2, 1 and 2, and then here we are with 2 that we're going to skip. So we're going to connect to the top of that chain 2 space. So we're going to connect to the top of that chain 2 space like that. and connect there. All right, so let's look what we got here. All right, so see, we've got our circle going, got our 12-point stars going, and between each here we've got 3 and 3, 3, 3, so we know we're going on the right path. Let's go to the next one. So this round and the next 2 rounds, we're going to use the large shell where we do 2 double crochet, 2 chain, and then 2 more double crochet. And that's going to make the blanket have more stitches in each row again. So how we start each row is we're going to slip stitch over so that we're able to skip those 2 joining stitches. We're going to chain 2, and then we're going to have 2 double crochet, we're actually going to do 1 because that counts as 2, and then we're going to do 2 here with 2 chain and 2 double crochet. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you. 1, 2, and then 2 double crochet. So a large shell. So right here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you count this as a double crochet, your 2 chain, you've got another one of those, and then you've got 4. So we just grew. You got 2, 3, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in that point, and then here's the top of that point. And so we've got 2 double crochet completing our shell. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet down the side again. And then that leaves 1, 2 at our V right there, which is the innermost point of our star points. We're going to skip those. We always skip those. We're going to come over here and do 2 more crochet. So it's basically the same thing we did on the previous row, except we're using large shells in the point. So we're doing 2, then we're going to add 2, and then 2 more double crochet. And then 2 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Then we're going to skip those 2 and do 2 double crochet again in each stitch, 1 there and 1 there. And then we're going to do a large shell. Two chain, 2 double crochet. Now when you're doing the large shell is when it's easy to skip this stitch right here. So remember to pull it over and get that stitch right there. So there's a double crochet, another double crochet in the next, and we're going to skip these 2, double crochet here, double crochet here, and then in the space we're going to do a large shell again. So 2 double crochet, 1, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, then we're going to do 1, 2 double crochet in these stitches, and then we're going to skip those 2 V stitches, and we're going to put 1 in the next and 1 in the next, And then we're going to do 2, for a large shell, we do 2 double crochet, 2 chains, 2 double crochet, and then don't forget to skip that one, or don't skip that one, and do 2. I should have wound this into a center pull before I did it. I've got about everything you can think of for crocheting except a yarn winder. I wish I had one. So right here, you skip these 2 V's, these 2 crochets, double crochets, and then you do 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do a large shell in the chain space. Uh-oh, see, y'all catch me. I got sidetracked by the traffic out front. Okay, so I've got 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and then 1, 2 chain, 1, 2 double crochet, and then double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Skip the next 2, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then large shell in the next chain space. All right, so next 2 stitches get a double crochet. Skip the 2 that make a V. 2 more, the next 2 get a double crochet. And then a large shell. And then don't skip that one. We're gonna put a double crochet there, double crochet there, and then we're gonna skip those 2, double crochet here, and then 2 here, so 1, 2. This is a large shell, so we're going to need more yarn, and then we're going to 2 chain, 2 double crochet, next 2 get double crochets each. Then we're going to skip those 2. Put a double crochet in each of the next 2, and then a large shell. Two chains. Two chains, 2 double crochet, and then we're going to do the next 2 stitches with double crochets, and then skip those two, and then the next two get double crochets. Large shell. Next two get double crochets, and then we're going to skip two double crochets. And we're going to do large shell. Next one gets a double crochet. We're coming to the end here, so we have one more double crochet there, and here we are at the end of the row again. So now we're going to join at this. So we're skipping the top of this one, and we're skipping the top of this one, and we're going to join at the top of these two chain. Here we go. So if you always want to know what row you're on, if you're looking at the pattern, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we just completed 7 rows. And if you look at your chain, at your clusters, you've got this first cluster, which was 1 stitch, you know, 2 double crochet, but 1 on each side. And then you got 2 double crochet on each side, 2 double crochet on each side, 1 on each side. So on this row, we're going to do 2 again. So how we start each and every row is we're going to chain stitch over. Slip stitch over, my bad, so that you can skip those 2, remember? And then you're going to chain, chain, and then here we're going to add 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then we're going to add a large shell. So 1, 2, 2 chain, 2 double crochet, and there's your first large shell of the row. Now, if you remember, we had 3 here, right? So now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've just added 2 more to the mix. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4, because that's your double, your that counts as a stitch. That's your 2 chain. So you have 4. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go back over here. This is our first shell. So we did our 2. We're going to hit this one here. That's 1, 2, and then we're going to do 3, and that gives us 5 double crochet in a row, counting our cluster. And if you look, you've got 2, 1, 2 that are pointing at each other. They're connecting the V. So we're going to skip those, and we're going to put a double crochet in each space, each double crochet, until we get to that chain space. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do our large shell. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can keep the count between each V even, then you know all your stitches are right. But if you get somewhere and you realize that you've forgotten to put that extra stitch in somewhere, then you're going to have, your point is going to be off. But always keep that count right, and every few rows I will count and make sure that I've done right. That way I don't have to go back too many rows. I think on this blanket I had to go back 2.5 rows before I realized that I had not I had done 4 rows of large clusters, and I went all the way back because I didn't want there to be a ripple in my blanket. I wanted it to lay flat. So here we are again. Let's back to this. We've got our large cluster done. So let's do 1, 2, and 3. My yarn is going to end up going across the room if I'm not careful. Okay, so we did our 3, and then the 2 that we skip in the V, and then we do 3 more. So 1, 2, 3, and then large cluster. 2 chain, 2 more, and then there we go, into that 1, 2, 3, skip 2, do 3 more stitches with the double crochet, and then do 2 large double crochet. Let's see. I certainly do wish that I had a yarn winder. I'm gonna have to look up and see how much they are. I bet they're not that expensive. All right, got me some more yarn. Okay, so I got 2, and I'm doing the clusters, so I gotta do 2 chain, 2 double crochet, and then 1, 2, 3, skip 2, 1, 2, 3. Do a large cluster, so 2 double crochet, 2 chain, and don't forget to do that first one. There's 1, 2, and 3. Skip 2, 1, 2, 3, large cluster, 1, 2, skip the 2 center, 1, 2, 3, to a large shell, 2, 3. You hear my elbow? I mean my wrist? Seems to be making all kinds of racket today. All right. So we're back to those 2 center. We're going to skip those, and we're going to crochet 3 till we get to our chain space. So that's 1, 2, crochet 2, 2 double crochet, and then 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Skip those 2 and 1, 2, 3. And large crochet, large shell. 2 chain. And then 1, 2, 3. Leaves the 2. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. We're going to add 1, 2, 2 chain. Chain. Now we're going to do 1, 2, 3. We're almost there. Almost to the next row. Okay. 1, 2, and so we do 3 here. Large shell, 2. And skip those 2. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 1, 2. 3. Now, we are all the way back around again. It's starting to get a lot larger. It gets bigger faster, especially when it's a round blanket. To me, makes it easier to see progress. All right, so we're going to connect this one to the second chain again. So we're going to do it here, and then like that. There we go. So we've got, here's our 1 shell, 2 shells, 2 shells, or large, small shell, large shell, large shell. So this round you do the exact same thing, but you do the small shell. And if you want to, you know, follow along with me or fast forward, or if you think you've got it down now that you can complete a blanket, you can do this blanket at any size, at any, you could do it this size and put a candle on it and make it a, you know, a doily if you wanted. You could do it in a very small thread count. So you know how this is a 4 worsted weight. You could do it at a, you know, a 1 or a 2, which is a small thread, and keep going and make it a doily. It would make a very pretty doily. Or you could use really big, like the worsted 6 or 7 yarn, the big blanket yarn, and do this, and it would be a blanket in no time. Again, this you can change every time you do the 3 sets. So 2 large, 2 large, or you do 1, 2, and 2. When you do your 1 again, you could change colors. Up to you. You could make this center 1 color and then start changing colors from there as often as you would like. I believe in the pattern on the loopholefox.com. I believe that one does change colors. It has 3 colors, so it'll have a C1 is where you start, and then you change to C2, C3. Again, I was making this blanket for just because, not because anybody asked me to or ordered it, and it's easier to have just 1 color. So the only ends that I have to weave in is the center end, the last, the very end, and then if you add yarn, depending on how you put 2 skeins together, would determine on how you would have to, how many ends you would have to weave together. If you do the Russian knot, you would have no ends to weave in, but the beginning and the end, which is great for a baby blanket. On the other hand, I did tie my yarn together, so I actually have 4 total ends that I have to weave in for this blanket, which, if you're like me, I hate to weave in the ends. That's the hardest part. I always wait till the end. This blanket here, I still haven't weaved the ends in on this one blanket, and it's only 4 of them. I'll do it. I just haven't yet. I was going to make a tutorial on that. If you haven't weaved in any ends before, you're not sure how to do it, you can always crochet over your ends. But if that's not possible, like in the last one here, or say if you didn't do it here, then you could you use a needle to weave them in. So anyhow, I'm going to very quickly get to, I'm going to do the 1, because when I do my border on the end here, I do it with the lesser. I did it on the 1 because the small shell, because it just allows for less rolling on the edge. It allows it to lay flatter. And so let me go ahead and get through 1 more row, and then I'll show you how I did a double, or I did a single crochet border in order to strengthen this. So here I go. I'm going to slip stitch over, and then 1, 2, this gives me 1, 2, got a plant over here that keeps trying to take my yarn. There we go. All right, let me get around this side here. One, two, three, four, and 5. 1, 2. All right, I'm almost back to where I can join it. Now, when I do the single crochet border, I actually don't skip those center stitches just because I want it to kind of have a good flat edge, and I don't know if that's the proper way of edging it, or if there's somebody that has a suggestion as to why it wouldn't be the way, but I'm going to show you how I put the edge on this blanket myself. So here I'm back around. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of my 2 chain so that I complete my row. And let's say this blanket was as big as I wanted it to be. This is it. So with each row, you of course are getting bigger and bigger. Let's see if I can fit it all the way in the screen. And grab my ruler here. Okay, my yardstick. So it is from center point to center point is 12.5 inches. I bet I could stretch it to 13, but it's about 12.5 inches now. And I've got, counting from the center, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows done. So, you know, I would, of course, keep going if I was going to make a baby blanket or anything like that. But this is the perfect size doily, honestly, for a table. It's a little thick for a doily, but it would work. So I joined this. I'm going to slip stitch, or I'm going to chain, and then I am going to just single crochet all the way around this blanket or this sample. And when I get here to the center, I'm going to do 3 single crochets. That gives me a good point, and then just keep going all the way around. And the 3 single crochet gives me a good point in that center where there's 2 chain. And then right here, I debated back and forth on whether I wanted to skip the 2 chain, just like, I mean, the 2 right here that you normally skip. But when I did, I felt like it bunched up there, and I want it to lay flat. And so I just went ahead with putting a single crochet in every single stitch. And it kept the definition of the inward, the look of it going in for me on my bigger blanket, because the V was more defined. That increase, or that, I don't know how to say that space there was long enough down that it didn't affect it. This one, it kind of does show, fill in that space a bit, but let me get a little more of it done and I'll show you what I mean. So 1, 2, 3 single crochet in the point, and then, sorry about that, and then the single crochet all the way around. Okay, so I am just about all the way around, and on the blanket I did 2 rows of single crochets. I think on this, if I was going to leave it for a doily, I think it would make just fine with this 1 row. You can also choose a different border. Again, you can keep going and make this as big as you want. You could do a single crochet between changing colors, but if you did, I would recommend keeping the pattern going. So this is the end of my it's hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah, so you see this is where my single crochet started. So I would recommend if this was going to be the end of the blanket or the end of the end of it all, I would leave it like this. And if you look, it will allow it to lay flat. It gives your chain spaces a flat spot, if that makes any sense. So here is the finished little project that I made here. And of course it is much smaller than the blanket that I made. From corner to corner, let's see, from point to point, by doing the single crochet, I think I probably only added, that is in the way again, it's twisted. Yeah, so it actually added quite a bit of space since the last time I measured it. It's actually measuring out to be right at like 3.5. I think it was like, what, 12.5 while ago? So it's, 13.5. So it's 13.5 wide. Again, this would make a great doily. It makes a great blanket. It does lay flat. It is a nice pattern. It's once you get going on it, and once you start going and remembering that you always skip the center 2 that connect, and you always crochet up to the center hole, the chain space. And then here is where you have to remember to do, and if you look, you can tell real quick, there's 2 in that one. 1, 2, so that's a single shell, small shell there. And then you got 2 and 2 in that one, so that's a large shell, and then single shell. So it's always good to keep that every 3rd row as a single shell so that your blanket lays flat. Otherwise, as you can tell, it's kind of wrinkly like that. If we added more to it, it would be, when it got big, it would not lay flat. In this one here, if you look at it in the photos, it does lay flat. The colors are changing because it's getting dark outside and I'm by some windows. So anyhow, I want to thank y'all for subscribing to my channel. Thank y'all for watching the video. Again, this is not my specific pattern. I got this pattern from Pinterest, and it took me to the loopholefox.com. And on that page, I searched for a 12-point star blanket. And I got to the loopholefox.com by doing so, and that was the Rising Star baby blanket pattern that I did. Out of all the patterns I've done, I know I said this once, but I mean it, this is my favorite one because it does skip that extra stitch every 3 rows, which allows your blanket to lay flat nicely. It makes for a great baby blanket. It makes great for a toddler blanket. You can make a doily. You could actually stop right here and start making double crochets and not adding any extra whatsoever. And after about 6-7 rows, you would realize that you have a purse. So you could make a purse, a 12-point purse, star purse out of this pattern. It's a very versatile pattern that you could make lots of things and gift lots of things. You can take 100% cotton yarn, make this same same pattern, and gift it as a washcloth. You could double it, make two in single crochet the two back to back, and have a nice hot pad for like a pot to sit on the counter. There's just an endless amount of things that you can do with this pattern and this design, and just whatever different yarn. You can make it with smaller yarn, smaller hook. You can use a bigger hook and bigger yarn. It does work up quickly, and it does work nicely. So if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe my page to my YouTube channel. Help me grow. I think I'm at like 760 something subscribers. And my husband has a YouTube channel that is HD Square Body and More, and he does a lot of work on square body trucks, one of them being mine. He just redid the interior in mine, and he has some Trans Ams and stuff like that. So if your husband likes that kind of stuff, or if you do, go like and subscribe to his page, but do mine first, because I want to beat him to 1,000 subscribers. Anyways, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all have a good day, and I hope that you watch the next video. I will be doing a video on Annie's Kit Club again. This time it's going to be on the Christmas candy sampler. And so far I've gotten 3 of the packages in, and I'm going to start doing these next week. I'm going to do a tutorial on each package that comes in the mail. And that way I make sure and get the whole blanket done. The last Annie's Kit Club that I did the square blanket. And since then, we actually moved, and all of our stuff went in storage. And unfortunately, I have not been able to find that blanket, which was almost completed, in storage. I do have a goal to find it. I hope to find it when we start unpacking that storage here real soon. But again, let me know what you think of this blanket. If you have a better idea for the border, let me know. I will put the link for the yarn in there, also for the hook, and then I will put a link for the Annie's Kit Club, and maybe next Sunday I can come and start the tutorial on the first shipment of the Annie's Kit Club. So anyhow, thank y'all, and y'all have a good night. Thanks.